You've seen the headlines, heard the debates.
The three-point ball has created...
And I want to see this. And look, if the Premier League, if they have certain interpretations of how it should be played, that's fine. Those interpretations are wrong. They don't line up with what the laws of the game say and what the interpretations of it are elsewhere. William Saliba, and I don't blame him. I'm not having a go at him. He does what the rules allow. His elbow is clearly in Bayindier's ribs, which is why he looks so uncoordinated. Not the only reason, probably. And afterwards, you're talking, whoa, can VAR, is there enough to overturn it? That's a stupid argument to make in this kind of situation because the referee, when it's a crowded penalty area, he's not going to know. He'll be guessing. That is a situation where they should have a different standard for VAR than something the referee clearly sees. There's no way the referee sees it clearly. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No. I thought...
Does that goal get disallowed in every other tournament in the world?
So you don't think the goalkeeper should be touched? If you touch the referee...
No. You can touch the goalkeeper.
I don't think there was much from Saliba on Bayindir.
I think there's several replays that show that there was a lot.
But I think this is what happens a lot. Goalkeeper have the advantage of having their arms and hands, obviously. So they still know where Bayindir misses that ball.
Right, but
Saliba
I can jump with my arms and hands. But if somebody runs into me while I'm doing it, then I'm not going to be able to get the ball.
I know De Ligt barged into Raya in the second half, and Raya punches the ball.
That's a bit of whataboutery there. Raya might be a better goalkeeper than Bayindir.
That's not my problem.
But it's not.
It's exactly the same.
I'm just saying this is not.
But it's exactly the same thing.
All right. I think. We'll have to agree to disagree on this one.
No, it's just like if I grab your arm while you try to catch the ball, that's a foul.
Right.
If I push you when
if you run into my arm while I'm trying to grab the ball, that's not a foul.
Well, Saliba is not on Bayindir's arm, though. Bayindir is two-arm free.
Right.
So, but that's what De Ligt does to Raya.
Actually, match of the day last night, Joe Hart would dispute that. Joe Hart explains, or at least his interpretation.
He said he had to go with the other hand.
Goalkeepers Union, he has to go with the other hand because Saliba's... I don't know.
I just didn't think there was enough there, but I get your point.
All right, we're going to break this down further on the Gab and Jules podcast, as well as get into some Gyökeres v. Sesko. His Sesko's cameo off the bench. Who did we like better?
This isn't just another ESPN fantasy football season. It's your shot at greatness. With a refreshed design, the ESPN Fantasy app is sharper than ever, so you can draft like a pro and dominate your league. And introducing Gridiron Gauntlet, a new game mode where the best compete to be crowned the #1 fantasy football player of 2025. One app, one shot, one champion. Download the ESPN Fantasy app and sign up to play ESPN Fantasy Football today.
People, and I'm Team Havertz. He was more like a front three where they kind of took turns. Let's talk strikers. United started with, in the app I use, it said like Mason Mount is a center forward. He wasn't really the center forward. No. He was more like a front three where they kind of took turns. And then we saw Sesko at the end. Understandable. He just arrived. On the other end, we got to see Gyökeres, right? The big bullying number 9 to so many people. And I'm Team Havertz. He's the best on earth. First game, nobody wants to rush to judgment. He did not look good. And you can make the argument, he had 3 touches in the opposition box, touched the ball, I think, 22 times throughout the game.
Yeah.
You can make the argument that's on the players around him who didn't do a good job of getting him the ball. And I think that's true. I think other than Odegaard, United's front 4, most of them were, kind of mid in this game. Arsenal's. On the other hand, he's expecting a little more from him. I mean, he looked a little bit lost there.
True, which is understandable, I think, at times. Like, for when he still arrived not that long ago, he played against Villarreal and then one half against Athletic Club de Bilbao. It's a game where Arsenal have 39% of the ball, which is not much for them. A game where they are under pressure. They've been under pressure. A game where they spend more defending than attacking because that's the way they chose it. They took the lead after 13 minutes, and after that, they just tried to control everything more than trying to go and score another goal, which is something that we talked about last season, which cost them a lot because they lost a lot of points from leading position. They were 1-0 up and then got pegged back, not losing the game, but drawing the game, dropping 2 points because that desire of controlling everything instead of maybe trying to go and score another goal like City or Liverpool would do maybe. So in that situation and kind of environment, I think it's difficult for them. And this is a team that doesn't play in transition. It's a team that has the ball, and instead of going quickly forward in 2 or 3 passes, they very often choose to keep the ball, play to Saka wide, who will take 2, 3, 4 touches, wait, and then they have their team in place in the opposition half, and then they move it like they want and like they know and like they've been told to. So that he will have to adapt to. They will have to adapt to him because there's a couple of times on Sunday where they could have easily played the ball through to him in transition. That could have been interesting. There's one time they did it and he kind of walked on the ball in that second half. Maybe the dry pitch on a hot day, I don't know, or maybe he just thought about it too much and messed it up really. But yeah, it's hard when it's just an hour first game against an opposition like that away from home in a game where again you haven't attacked too much.
It's a good point about them not playing in transition. I wonder, I mean, if Arteta were here, if he would say, well, Jules, I don't necessarily have the players or haven't had the players to play in transition because to do that, I need good passers from deep. And the reality is, well, I have a fantastic back four. Calafiori maybe is the best passer. And of course, the guy's injured 50% of the time. I had Partey and Jorginho last year. Jorginho, great passer, not necessarily a long passer. All these things put together, I wonder if that changes. I wonder if the signing of Madueke maybe is part of the thinking there. Yeah. Martinelli should be able to play in transition.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
Saka should be able to do whatever he wants.
But this is not, but this is not the game. And Saka is not a transition kind of player either.
But he could be.
He could become. And I think they will have to because this will suit, in some games, Leeds on Saturday at the Emirates, there won't be any transition or unlikely because they're going to play with a very deep block. And that's when we will see Gyökeres in this kind of setup where Arsenal will have a lot of the ball, 70% of the ball, and they will camp in the box, around the box of Leeds, and will have to find solutions. And let's see how he deals with that, if he's better or not than United, where they were spaced, but they didn't really use it.
What I want to push back, though, regarding Gyökeres is this idea that I heard from some pundits and people on the radio. It's just like, oh, when other Gyökeres is there, you have to pump crosses into the box. And I'm like, the 1990s are over. This isn't Niall Quinn who you signed. Yeah. There are many different ways to serve Gyökeres, and simply delivering tons of high balls into the box for him to knock down. This isn't it. I mean, you got him because he's much more multifaceted, as we saw at Sporting. Now, whether he turns out to be good enough, worth the money, that's a whole other that's a whole other point. Zubimendi, I was psyched to see what he could do.
Yeah,
I thought Cunha and Mbeumo, two guys who we talked about earlier. I don't love those signings at those numbers at all.
Yeah,
but they were such live wires. I thought they got in his face a lot, and I thought he kind of focused mostly. I didn't see much playmaking from him in this game.
No,
because they made it really difficult for him.
Yeah, and again, with only 39% of the ball for Arsenal, it's difficult for him to have an impact with the ball because I think they run 8 kilometers or 7 kilometers more than United. They had to run a lot. They didn't, with the control that they had, still they didn't have much of the ball. And his game is all about that, right? So I thought there was a couple of sloppy passes, and I think it took him a long time to get into that game, to get into the rhythm, which is, again, understandable. First game away at Old Trafford, when you've never played in the Premier League, where you've played well in the friendlies, but this is very different than pre-season. So I always thought this was going to be tough for him, and it was, to be fair. I expect him to be much better against Leeds, for example, on Saturday. And then as the season continues, but this was always going to be tough. And also there's Bruno and Casemiro against you and all that kind of experience. And Bruno must be a nightmare for all the things I don't like for Bruno playing deeper. It's true that he must, because of his energy and intensity all the time, it must be difficult to play against him when he plays that deep.
Lewis Skelly came on, got himself booked.
Timber as well?
Timber, although I thought Timber played well. Unlike Lewis Skelly. Not that Lewis Skelly was bad, but is there Do we read anything in his decision and the two fullbacks who did start, Ben White and Calafiori? Are we going to see alternating fullbacks all season? Do you have any sense of that?
No, I don't know. I thought White played a lot in preseason, so maybe slightly fitter. Well, I think fitter than Timber, really. For Lewis Kelly, I think it depends really what the opposition is. If you want a left back that would go into midfield a lot and add that extra player there, Lewis Kelly is good for that, and I expect him to start against Leeds.
So is Calafiori good for that?
Yeah, but like in a game like yesterday, that was not what he was there for.
It was more about the size and physicality.
Yeah, and just to keep that back four like it was against the front three of United. You knew United would have a front three with the two wing backs really high, which they did. So it was not, you needed more of a defender at that left back position than a midfielder like Lewis Kelly, which is what he is.
All right, let's go back to United. As I said, I think there's a ton of positives to really take from this game. For all the Ruben Amorim haters and naysayers out there, he's had time to work with his team. I think it shows. He'll have more time during the season because they're not playing European football. Yeah. That's the good news. In midfield, I thought Casemiro showed up. Again, amazing even with older players. Like, when he's back, you're like, oh, his legs have gone. Yeah, okay. But when he's rested over the summer and he has a proper preseason, I thought he did okay. Yeah. And then you've got Ugarte, who's presumably is your mainstay there. The old chestnut of Bruno Fernandes deeper. I understand why he's there. This is my theorem. I don't want him there because he's too far away from the goal and he's still United's best scorer and assist man. Until proven otherwise. Yeah. On the other hand, you brought in Sesko. You brought in these other guys. Has he committed to Bruno in the deeper role now, you think? No, I think it will depend if they sign him a midfielder, whoever that is, whether that's Baleba or I think Baleba is very difficult to do, but somebody else there that can pass the ball because Casemiro, can do to a certain extent. Ugarte can't do it, we know that. Menu can, but then he doesn't run. Exactly. So Menu can't play there, not at this level. So then you just need, for now, Bruno is the only one who can play there and pass the ball. So I think to the detriment, in a way, maybe to what United can do in the final third of the pitch. But for now, I don't think they have many other options. This is the only choice that they have. On the other hand, if you play Bruno on the two, then one has to be benched. Mbumo, presumably, or Cunha. One of those two drops out. Yeah. Which is also a call to make. Also, there's no room for Amad Diallo. I mean, I still like Amad Diallo in the wing-back role. I think he can do that too. Obviously, he didn't start this game. But he has options. And I like the fact that Mount did well, I think, as well. I like Mount. I think Mount can be really useful for this team. Not as a starter, maybe, but as a first or second option off the bench, I think it could be interesting. Mount can pass a little bit. Yeah. Maybe he can drop deeper. No. All right. On Sesko, what did you see? Half an hour. The only thing really is the header on the cross by Bruno. On that, also had the back heel too. That was pretty. Yeah, true. And delish. And maybe you could have done slightly better with at least put on time. It was a very difficult header, to be fair. But he would be a presence. He's strong. You said that you felt like he looked stronger or beefier maybe than what. He was kind of stick-like early on. Yeah. He still is. Yeah, I think he'd be good for this team. It's just, you saw what happened in the first hour when Cunha. So one, I think Cunha is better as a 10 than as a 9. As a 9, like he was for the first hour, even if he was good there. But then Sesko will need to adapt to this team. The way the team played with Cunha as a 9 and then Mount and Mbomo behind, I don't think you can play like that with Sesko. So it'd be very interesting to see. Because I think you can play longer then on Sesko. Yeah. You should be able to. But I'm not sure that is good too much for Cunha. It'd be very interesting to see once they get. I'm in the vein of bold predictions. Or I gave you my Verts one. I think if this setup works, we're going to gravitate towards a de facto 3-4-1-2, where in the 2, somebody who's going to be closer to Sesko and alongside him. I think it's too big an ask for him to be beyond that. And if you lose, it means you have to change your pressing triggers, so be it. Because I think they're very mindful of what happened with Højlund last year, also psychologically. Yeah. you go from Leipzig, where everybody hates you. Yeah, there's 60,000 people in the stands, but it's 60,000 Muppets. And now you really are in the glare. I think they're going to do their best to bring him out, to take as much of the pressure off him as they can.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think they would change the system at all. I don't think they would change anything tactically. And again, the game on Sunday shows that this is improving and this is working. He would just have to fit there as the 9. And he will have enough support with Mbomo and Cunha, Mount, Bruno, Ahmad, whoever plays there with him. The wing backs are good for him. Amorim said after the game, we need more crosses in for him, which, to your point about Gyökeres and what people are saying about Gyökeres, it's interesting to hear Amorim saying, yeah, let's just pump the box with crosses for Šeško. We'll see. I think he will need a bit of time. But him and Gyökeres will do well. There's no doubt. They should do well. But it just naturally, it needs a bit of time. I think some strikers can arrive at a club and just fit in very well because of the way the team is set up or the way they play. For others, you just need a little bit more work.
I think let's not forget, both these guys simply haven't had that many training sessions with their new teammates yet. There you go. United fans, cheer up. All right, enough United. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Manchester City roll to a 4-0 away win at Wolves. Jules, my boy Tijani Reinders, is pretty darn good.
He is, yeah. I mean, we knew it. There's nothing that we didn't know that he did in that game. But to see him like that, just bossing that midfield, bossing the game, running the show, doing everything from second assist to scoring to anything you want was just brilliant. And Wolves are not good. City were good. The relationship between Reinders and Haaland and Bernardo Silva played as a 10. There was a lot of decisions that Pep made in that game that were really interesting. But the fact that Reinders is already so good, I think is very good news for City.
It's crazy. He's 27 years old. I think he only has like 21 caps for Holland, and this is your opportunity to make fun of Dutch managers again.
They don't know much football, to be fair.
But I love the fact that in Italy, where we overanalyze stuff in stupid ways, it was like, oh well, he's not really a 6. He doesn't have quality to play a 6. He doesn't have the skills to play a 10. Blah blah blah. And as an 8, he needs to do this. And Pep just says, dude, go out there. Look at better players around you and do your thing. And he does it.
Yeah. And he'd be better even when Rodri is back because that was Nico next to him.
Yeah. And big for Haaland, by the way, to get off the mark.
Yeah. And sticking with City, Gavi, Pep Guardiola said that Ederson is still first choice but suffered some stomach problems before the game. That's why he was not involved at all. Are you buying this, or do you suspect that the £10 million offer from Galatasaray for Ederson had something to do with it?
Both things can be true, right? It could be the offer, the prospect of leaving, the uncertainty contracts that can give you agita and stomach problems. I don't know. In Italy, inevitably, they're linking all of this with Donnarumma as well as Onana's absence, because he was injured. This is a situation that evolves. It's interesting to say that Pep said, no, he's still my number one. Is it going to happen if he leaves? I think if you spend that much money, I just go back to this for all the Donnarumma people out there. If you spend so much money on a goalkeeper like they did with Trafford, and he's only a couple of years younger than Donnarumma, you're not going to drop him to the bench because presumably you think of Donnarumma long term.
Yeah.
Barcelona race out to a 3-0 win over Mallorca, who go down to 9 men by minute 39. Jules, 18-year-old Lamine Yamal looks as sharp as 17-year-old Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, he did very good. I mean, he gave an assist to Rafinha very early on, then he scored a lovely goal at the end to finish it off. Loads of dribbling, loads of shooting. Maybe not always the right decision making, but still outstanding. Lamine, in a game that was done obviously after 39 minutes and the 2 red cards.
They got lucky with the second goal, though.
I mean, the Ferran Torres goal should have never been allowed to stand.
Let's describe it for those who might not have seen the highlights, but basically there's a shot. It hits, I think it's Antonio Rayo, the Mallorca captain. It hits him in the head. The guy collapses to the pitch.
Literally, it looked like he was passing out.
Yeah.
Everybody stops.
The referee, it looks like the referee's bringing the whistle to his lips. So the defenders stop, and then he's like, oh, no, he's fine. There's a protocol for head injury. And, that was... And I'm surprised VR didn't step in. It's okay. The referee froze, made a mistake. It's all right,
Yeah, and I think that frustration led also to... Not directly to the 2 red cards, but I think explain as well why they were so... pumped after that and angry.
Yeah, Muriqi trying to take somebody's head off is not a good look.
Gab, you might have enjoyed Barca's win like me, but Hansi Flick did not.
Yeah, I thought this was really surprising. I always take a step back because I figure, Flick is with the players every day. He knows what motivates them or whatever. But he came out and he's like, I don't like the way we played. We dropped our intensity. We were at 50% intensity. Bro, you're 2-0 up. 11 versus 9 in the second half. What are you talking about? You should be happy that the intensity drops so nobody gets injured, right? So that nothing stupid happens. You're not going to learn anything from scoring more goals. Look, my thoughts on running up the floor.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
I think it's dumb. Different cultures say, oh, no, we respect our opponents by scoring 50 when they're 9 to 9 men. Great. I don't think this is what he was talking. He was talking about intensity, whatever. You're not going to improve because you're never going to play against, against 9 men again. What do you want? It was just a curious way to come out.
You're right.
But,
absolutely.
hey, we have to have our faith in Flick because
he can be demanding. Yeah,
he's the coach and he's the reigning champion. Jules, we're not done. We have more quick hits.
Yes.
Let's go to the German Cup, the Superpokal. Franz Beckenbauer. Bayern get the better Stuttgart 2-1.
Yeah.
And the old guy between the stakes makes some outrageous saves. No more making fun in the fact that they continue to have faith in Manuel Neuer.
No, because he was key in this. I mean, Harry Kane scored first in a goal. The ball dropped luckily for him. After that, the Bayern were good, were okay. But Stuttgart, I thought, were outstanding. Woltemade up front, maybe with something to prove. Being a nuisance, Neuer having to make big saves, 2 at least, before Luis Diaz with a lovely team goal and individual finish with his head to make it 2-0, and then a late goal from Stuttgart. But maybe, I think Stuttgart could be very good this season. If they keep Woltemade.
Yeah. And shout out, by the way, to Leon Goretzka. He's back, baby.
Yeah. And Olise at the 10, to replace Musiala. And sticking with Bayern, Gabi, they're still working on a Christopher and Nkunku deal. What's the problem?
So the problem is apparently from Chelsea's perspective, they want a permanent deal. They don't want any of this loan option to buy stuff. I don't really get that. I mean, I can understand why they want to get some money back in. His amortization is still high. If you're Bayern, you don't need to do that. You say, like, if we want this deal, we'll pay you a loan fee, like Milan did with João Felix, and then we'll take him. I think Nkunku would make a lot of sense for Bayern if his head is screwed on right, and that's a big question mark because for the last 2 years it really hasn't been. They're still pursuing Woltemade. I think you have to get somebody in because the reality is, if you're talking forward players, it's 3 out, right? Coman, Sané, and somebody else I'm forgetting.
And then the Musiala injury.
You got to get and Thomas Muller plus the Musiala injury, right? So those are 4 bodies out, and just the 1 body in. And so I know they've got hopes for Bischoff and stuff, but he's a kid and not necessarily his position yet. So they got to work on this, and I think they're going to make another attempt at Woltemade, but I don't think that's going to lead anywhere.
No, I agree.
Tottenham beat up Burnley 3-0, Jules, after parking the bus against Paris Saint-Germain. Thomas Frank unleashes his Ferraris, going from a 5-3-2 to a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
How about that Richarlison?
I mean, it's kind of reproducing the one he's at the World Cup a little bit for Brazil in Qatar. Lovely finish. Kudus was great. Richarlison was great. Burnley are a terrible team already. We can tell you that. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for them to stay up. And even if everything was not perfect for Burnley, for Spurs, against Burnley, their second goal came quite late compared to the first one, for example. That was really early. It's still a very good win to start the Thomas Frank era, certainly in the Premier League.
Burnley, by the way, are terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
They look really, really poor.
Chelsea ahead to a scoreless draw home by Crystal Palace. Gab, how did they look? And did you know this rule that got the Eze goal disallowed?
I did, because I've seen free kicks disallowed for it, not in the Premier League, and I report on it. I think it's been there since 2019.
Yeah.
And that was when people started making second walls and putting people close to the wall. But somebody made the joke that the reason Palace didn't know the rule was because the rule had been sent to info at Palace or crystalpalace.co.uk, whatever, which is supposedly where UEFA sent their notification.